Well, Titus, you have become truly an Emmy mainstay. You've just received your fourth consecutive nomination from 4 seasons of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. What does that, I mean, you're the one actor from the show who's consistently been nominated each season. What does that continued recognition mean to you?
Um, it doesn't go lost on me. I feel, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just an honor to be nominated," and I know it sounds so insincere, but it's true. There are so many wonderful TV shows out, and so many deserving actors. So to have it dwindle down to what, 6 or 7,
Mhm.
and to be, in that list, I truly feel lucky. Not that we go into our season hoping, that we're going to get nominated for anything. And in fact, when this whole thing started with me, even with season 1, that was the last thing on my mind. So I feel very lucky. I feel blessed, honestly.
Yeah, are you like, when did you first hear about the nomination? Are you the type of person who stays and watches the announcements, or how did you hear
No,
about it?
I'm not. I was in the airport, and I was going through security because I had to go back to New York for some work on another project. And I had just put my phone down, and my phone started ringing. And of course, I couldn't exactly look at it. So on the other side of security, I picked up my phone, and of course, they had chosen me for a random search. So I had to put my phone back down. But I caught wind of a text from my boyfriend, and I was like, this is not the place to scream. So, good news or bad news. But I found out, from some friends and from my representations. My best friend and my boyfriend, they're glued to the internet, not me. So that's where I found it, LAX, and it was quite a surprise.
Well, unfortunately, despite all these iconic moments like Lemonading and Pinot Noir, you have not won the Supporting Actor Emmy yet. But what you have won is 3 Gold Derby Awards. You fared a
Well,
lot better on our
that's
side. And I don't know if you know, but you got actually a 4th consecutive nomination from us as well, from our readers, and that's thousands
That's
of
what
people.
my agent said, that I got another nomination. You guys are. I hold you guys in high esteem, and your opinions are always spot on. So I feel very seen, if you will, by you guys. So thank you.
I'm curious, after 4 seasons of doing this character, what has changed the most for you about making this show and being Titus with 1 S?
Wow, that's a good question. Hmm. What has changed the most about how I approach playing the role, or what has changed the most about Titus in terms of his arc?
Oh, well, you can answer either one if you have anything, but I'm curious about if anything with the role has changed.
Okay. The role hasn't changed, just the circumstances.
Yeah.
In terms of how I approach it, I've come to realize the less I prepare, as irresponsible as that may sound, the more authentic the response I'm able to allow Titus Andromedon to have to his surroundings. We read through it obviously, and debunk the jokes and make sure we hit our marks and all that good stuff. But there are some scenarios that he's in that I thought, if I stay up all night planning how I'm gonna say this, or how I'm gonna hit this word or whatever, this is going to ring false. And our audiences are not stupid. People are not dumb. And in fact, our show requires our audiences to be pretty intelligent, because the jokes are so rapid fire and the subject matters are so intense. So I think what's changed is, at the beginning, I was a lot more self-conscious about how I prepped for him. And, as I went along, as the seasons went along, it became clearer that the more, the less preparation in terms of trying to map out what I was going to do, the more it rang true when we filmed it.
I, what I like about, similar to what you said, what I love about the show is that it's a comedy, but unlike many sitcoms, it allows its characters places of growth. You know, in the episode you submitted for the Emmys, the Kimmy and the Beast, he gets to this point where he's really confronting bullying, his history of bullying. Is there a particular evolution of Tituss that's your favorite to explore?
Perhaps, you know, as obvious as it sounds, the one with Mikey. You know, learning for someone as, I have to make sure I articulate this properly. Tituss Andromedon was deprived in many ways a proper maturation process in terms of becoming a gay man, a well-rounded, you know, contributor to society type of person. And once he seized that, I think he clenched so tightly to his freedom and his ability to move about the earth how he chose, that it became accidentally self-centered. So much so that he was unable to consider the ramifications of his choices where other people were concerned. And when Mikey came along, it caught him off guard. Season 3, he purposefully broke up with him to allow Mikey this opportunity to explore for himself what Tituss did not have. You know, as he said, I remember he said, it's too much pressure to, you know, be someone's first and to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Tituss had that opportunity to explore relationships, his sexuality, all of that good stuff. And I love that as the season went on and at the top of season 4, Tituss began to realize this guy was, you know, the one. And while he doesn't apologize or doesn't think that he made a mistake in letting Michael, you know, explore and move on, if you will, he wants to impress upon Mikey that he loves him, you know, and he goes through every possible color of the rainbow trying to figure out how to, you know, get Mikey's attention back. And I love that Mikey's presence and the love that Tituss has for Mikey causes him to go through every possible human emotion. He cycles through it all, which is something that I don't know, had he not met Mikey, that Tituss would have done.
And speaking of characters like Mikey, your show is really blessed with awesome guest stars consistently that you get to work off of. What was it like getting Greg Kinnear to lampoon himself for the Capus segment?
He is so funny, and I didn't realize that, but he's hilarious, and he was game for, you know, poking fun at himself and you know, just he was all in, and watching him work was quite a treat.
Yeah. And your character, like, you have a very robust Broadway background, which your character is he would kill for that probably. And we've seen him graduate all the way to directing a high school musical. Was that different for you, being surrounded by kids and sharing a lot of your screen time with them?
No, well, I'll say I was able to pull from my own personal experience, because when I went to college, I went to college in my hometown where I went to high school, middle school, and elementary school. And I was called back to assist on a show. So here I am, you know, an adult directing a bunch of children again. And I remember thinking, even 4 years difference in terms of age, that's a lifetime of experiences. And I had to dial my self back a little bit to sort of remember what it was like to be in high school. So it was fun to watch Tituss not do that at first, and to sort of feel like that was his opportunity to, how to articulate it, to live out all of the things that he, you know, didn't have the opportunity to live out in his youth. And those kids were so talented and so fun to be around. So to watch this very selfish man manipulate all of these children into doing what he wanted was really fun. And then, you know, it came full circle, and Tituss sort of realized the error of his ways. Of course, with the help of Ellie Kemper, who plays Kimmy. So that was one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. And you usually get most of your scenes with Ellie, it seems like, but this season you got paired up with Jane Krakowski a lot more, I think, than usual. What was it like to have your arcs interact more this time?
Jane and I go way back, and in fact, we vacationed together this past spring. And the more we hang out, the more I learn about her. But Jane is, I think Jane is a genius. I think, if I can be so bold, I think sometimes people stop at her beauty and don't always hook into the academic part of her in terms of how she approaches comedy. But she is so clever, and I learned a great deal from her and about her process. And I would work with her any day.
She's always great. You also, because of your Broadway background, it's really fun seeing all the musical moments you have, and of course, we have like ones that have become part of the zeitgeist now with Pinot Noir. And this time you're singing about soda, promoting soda propaganda in this High School Musical. Do you ever pitch those, or does sort of like Tina Fey or anyone come up with those on their own for you?
Every now and again, I'll throw something out there, but buddy, that team was, I was so blessed to have this be my first television experience as a series regular with Tina Fey and Robert Carlock as showrunners. You couldn't ask for more thorough writers. And, I know every single interview that I have, I speak about them, but it isn't just lip service. They are so thorough, and they leave no stone unturned. And they listen without ego. If we find pause about something that they've written, they listen, and because they also understand that if we don't understand it, then it'll not come across like we know what we're doing. And it was just like getting a master's degree in comedy writing. So I didn't really pitch anything because they don't need me to. I was very happy with the material that I received. So I just thought, just do what they say, and don't ask questions. Oftentimes at the top of the season, I have no idea what's about to happen to Tituss at the end of the season. So when people are like, can you share with us any tidbits? I'm like, no, because I don't know. And that's the truth. So no, I didn't pitch anything.
Well, it seems like they really have gotten into a groove to know how to write for you. And you pop up because you keep popping up in lots of places. Like you'll be like the nerds in Kimmy's head during that sequence. Has there ever been something that they've thrown at you where you were like, what? Like, is this too much?
Yeah, a bunch of people, you mean?
Sorry?
Where I play a bunch of people, you mean?
All the nerds in the scene, because they put you in these places where you just pop up all over the place. And has there ever been like a bit where they threw something at you where you said, whoa, that's crazy even for Tituss?
Oh, well, they're all crazy. But no, there's never been anything that I said that I couldn't do. My motto is I will always try, at the very least once. And if it doesn't work, then we scrap it, because if I can't do it, I can't do it. But I never say no without trying it, ever.
That's a good motto to have. For this upcoming season, I know this one was kind of split in two a bit. And the next season 5 or 4B, whatever we are going for there, is going to be the last one, supposedly, yes?
Well, this is the last one.
Yeah.
So they split season 4 in half. So the second half of season 4 airs in January, but it's not considered season 5. It's still a continuation.
Right. Is there, as it comes to a close, what's kind of the place you hope Tituss ends up in? What do you hope he ends?
I will say this, for the same part of me that had no hopes at the top of the season because I never knew what was about to happen. The same part of me feels that way about the conclusion. But what I can say objectively about it, as a fan of the show and a fan of the writing, Tituss, to a lot of people, represents something very personal. They see themselves a lot in him, and I just hope that the resolution, if you will, is him finding happiness and him understanding how to take other people's feelings into consideration, and how that is sort of on autopilot, an automatic thing versus something that he has to think through. And it would be nice to finally see him be with Mikey the way he wants to be, and it'll be interesting to see, if that calms him down, should that happen. But no one wants to. I don't wish restlessness on anybody, so I don't want that for Tituss.
That sounds like a good ending. Before I let you go, I have one question, but more of a wish list in case Tina or Robert, anyone's watching, because
Okay.
I saw there's so many, references. There was a great moment in the episode where Kimmy calls you an Ursula. And I saw you play Sebastian fabulously on Broadway in Little Mermaid, but I've also seen concert videos of you doing Poor Unfortunate Souls. And I just feel like the world needs a fully staged version of that with, like, I don't know what Tituss would make like a DIY Ursula costume out of. But that would be my hope of what would happen in season 5.
I loved The Little Mermaid so much, and I adored sort of pretending, or sort of wishing that I had once played Ursula. But Sebastian is my heart and my soul, and I could play him all day, every day if I could. So, should the opportunity arise to play either, I would jump at it in any. Well, I wouldn't say any form, but I would jump at the opportunity, given the right format.
Well, maybe Tina Fey will make it happen.
Maybe.
Well, Tituss, it's been great talking to you. Thanks for
Thank you.
hanging out with me, and best of luck at the Emmys.
Thank you.